I'm about a 10-minute walk from the centre of Gloucester. This whole bit is called Westgate Leisure Area. We're going to cross the River Severn now, head west slightly onto a bit of land that is actually completely surrounded by the River Severn. It's called Alney Island, and the River Severn splits at Upper Parting, which is just up the river that way, and then it recombines further down at Lower Parting. And the little island that's formed in the middle of those two kind of branches of the river is called Alney Island. So we're going to go and have a little look around it now. Got roads on both sides. Got the westbound traffic on that side and the eastbound traffic on that side. And then this little pathway slips neatly down the middle. I think I'm now on Alney Island. This is part of the Severn Way, which follows the River Severn's banks. Let's have a look what this sign says. Wow. So these trees, all of these trees here, were planted in 1983 to mark the 500th anniversary of the City of Gloucester Charter of Incorporation. So there you go, all these people presumably donated money or maybe donated the trees themselves, and here they are, still standing today. That was silly. Thought it was going to be completely frozen, but my hand went through and now my hand is slightly wet. Today, Alney Island lies isolated. You've got busy main roads going all around it, you've got the River Severn surrounding it on all sides. But once, in the not too distant past, this would have been a very important location, and that's because this was traditionally the lowest point you could cross the River Severn into Wales. So we're now going to go and look at one of the last bridges that crossed the Severn before the modern Severn Bridge took responsibility for that. If it wasn't for all the car noise from the roads, it could be in the middle of some forest or something. I mean, the foggy, cold mistiness is definitely adding to the atmosphere. This is River Bridge, or if you look at it on a map, you'd probably think it was called Over Bridge. River Bridge was built by Thomas Telford, who designed it to replace another bridge, Tudor Bridge, that had been standing here on a similar site but slightly to the south for 200-300 years. When this bridge opened in the 1830s, it was the lowest point that you could cross the River Severn from England to Wales. It stayed that way until the 1960s, when the first suspension bridge was built across the River Severn further downstream from here. Nowadays this bridge is no longer in use. There's a new road over here that everybody crosses on. You can still walk along the old bridge. There was a more downstream crossing, the Tudor version, but the problem with the Tudor bridge is it had many arches, I think 8 arches or something the sign back there said. And so that made it really hard for ships to go any further than Gloucester. If they wanted to go further up the Severn, they'd have to be small ships. So this bridge was a huge improvement on that. One big single span arch meant the ships could just come straight through. Unfortunately, once they built the bridge and when they released all of the temporary structure around it, the whole bridge sank by about 25 centimetres or so. So for a few years they had to do various kind of fixes and changes until they decided that it was safe enough to use for road traffic. Don't build them like they used to. Right, we're now going to continue our adventure. We're going to go back to Alney Island. We're not going to actually cross this bridge. Back to Alney Island, and we're going to start heading south towards the Alney Island Nature Reserve. So just now when we were stood on the bridge, you could see this railway bridge. It carries the South Wales railway line from Gloucester all the way to Cardiff and beyond. But this bridge is actually a relatively new bridge, and as well as River Bridge, which was designed by Thomas Telford, there wasn't just one big Victorian engineer who designed bridges around here. Isambard Kingdom Brunel himself wanted to get in on the act, and so before this bridge existed there was another bridge that was built by Brunel, and you can see the remains of it just here. All this brickwork here is part of the old railway bridge, and the old bridge used to cross pretty much in the same place, slightly more of an angle over there. So you can just about see Telford's bridge there, River Bridge for the road traffic, and then the remains of Brunel's bridge. So within 100 metres of each other, you've got two of the Victorian era's greatest engineers with big engineering projects side by side. Unfortunately, in the 1950s, Brunel's railway bridge here was completely replaced by the new bridge, which is the one in use today. So this nicely paved cycle path carries on around that way, but we're going to head down this way. We've got Telford's bridge, got the railway bridge, we're here, we're going to walk round here, back to the docks. Let's go. Well, look who's decided to join the party. Weather forecast said it'd be sunny for most of the middle of the day, but this fine layer of mist and fog has been hiding it away. I'm stood in what used to be a lock. So there's a weir just over to my right here, and if ships wanted to pass through this bit, they wouldn't have been able to go down the weir, because ships can't go down weirs, so they would have gone through this lock. So it's been filled in now, and it's clearly no longer in use, but you can see that at one point in time, big ships from Gloucester docks would have sailed through here on the way out of the docks and down the river. See these big grooves here on both sides. Guess maybe that would have been where the lock gates or something were. This is the bit that we've just walked through, just there, and this is the weir. So the ships coming out of the docks wouldn't have been able to go down the weir, so instead they would have gone through this lock. So we're going this way, and this map also shows the next point of interest, which is this old railway bridge, Alney Bridge. See, there's little mooring posts where the boats would have tied up while they were waiting to go through the lock. Now it's just on the side of the footpath, but think how many massive ships must have been moored up to that at one point or another. You can see the river over here flowing down towards the weir that's just down there. And here, the old Alney railway bridge that would have headed across Alney Island from Brunel's bridge back that we saw earlier, headed across the island and into Gloucester docks, and it would have taken freight in and out of the docks over this bridge. No longer in use now, and in fact they've had to put some scaffolding and corrugated iron up to stop people from getting onto it, because it's probably very unsafe. But yeah, fascinating little bit of history there that's still very accessible, and you can walk right underneath it. See the old tracks on both sides here. So they didn't really bother kind of taking it up, they just stopped using it. Well, I've made it to Gloucester Docks, very foggy Gloucester Docks, and that is the end of my journey. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed this foggy tour of Alney Island, just to the west of Gloucester, and yeah, see you in the next one.